Chaos Theory by Tessa Crowley. Brought to you by Leanne Audio. Chapter 3. Question Everything. Euripides. "Malfoy Draco," says Professor McGonagall, pulling Draco out of his own head for the first time that evening. Most of the day-long journey to Hogwarts had been gloriously unburdened by other people. Still, as annoying as it is, he should probably do this sorting thing. He pushes his way through the crowd up toward Professor McGonagall and the stool by which she's standing. He sits down and she puts the sorting hat on his head. He waits. For several long seconds, nothing happens. Draco knows just enough about the sorting ceremony to know that something should be happening, and he's about to say that maybe it's broken when a voice suddenly floods his head. "You are not what I was expecting." Draco is startled. He knows that the sorting hat is slightly psychic, but he hadn't considered that it might be telepathic, let alone speaking in complete sentences. Is the hat actually sapient? "Not in the way you understand sapience, perhaps, but I am a thinking being, yes." Fascinating. "With most long pure-blood lines, it's variations on the same theme, but you are a different creature entirely, aren't you?" Draco was wondering what sort of magic would be necessary to create sentience like this, and whether or not such magic would even be ethical to perform. He's reminded of Frankenstein about the dangerous consequences for men who dared play God. "Are you listening?" Sapience and consciousness without self-governance must be a nightmarish existence. If it were Draco, he would be plagued at all hours with soul-crushing ennui. He would rot from the inside out with idleness. "That's really not—" Come to think of it, Draco would also struggle with a profound crisis of identity. Express and intended purpose does not necessarily equate to personal actualization. Is a sorting hat happy being a sorting hat? Does it find fulfillment from sorting? Would it even matter if it didn't? "I don't think this is—" And what if it yearns for something more than its intended design? What if, like Dr. Frankenstein's accursed monster, it has the full burden of sentience, of life and love and curiosity and intelligence, but limited means of expressing it? Oh, for goodness sake! And for that matter, what kind of spell would even create sentience? Even magic obeys the laws of conservation of mass, and sentience needs more than just energy to be realized. Surely something would have been transfigured into neurons. Thread, perhaps, but even then. "Right, that's quite enough of that. Ravenclaw!" Silence follows. Professor McGonagall plucks the sorting hat from Draco's head, leaving him blinking out into the great hall. There is some scattered applause, though it's slow and those clapping seem sort of confused. Draco belatedly remembers that there hasn't been a non-Slytherin Malfoy in the history of his house. He wonders if his father will be angry, decides he doesn't care, and goes back to thinking about magically created sentience as he heads towards the Gryffindor table. Draco does not pay attention to the rest of the ceremony. He stares off into space and considers how energy might be manipulated to mimic sentience, until Headmaster Dumbledore rises at the front of the room and says, in between other much more boring start-of-term announcements, something about students avoiding the third-floor corridor if they want to avoid a painful death. He has never been so curious in his entire life.